Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sports Writers Podcast. I'm Bill Newell with Phil Stacy, Matt Williams, and Nick Giannino, all of the Salem News. Unfortunately, Nick Kukuru cannot be with us here tonight as we speak on Sunday evening prior to the posting of this program on Monday this week. So, gentlemen, I just want to begin. It's just incredibly sad news that we heard from two different sites this weekend, both on Friday night. Zach Ryan, the football quarterback for Swampscott. His father passed away in the past week, and Jake Scalangi's father from Marblehead also, Scoglin's father also passed away this past week. And those two programs hit very hard at emotional kind of Friday night games. And Matt, you were with me over at Lynn for the Swampscott game, and Phil, you were in Marblehead. So just two very sad things. I can't ever remember something like that happening at all, really, in this kind of frequency. So just worth mentioning, and our hearts and our thoughts and prayers go out to both of those families in particular.
Yeah. I honestly I had no idea it had happened until post game. I was at the Marblehead Linfield game, and but, hindsight being what it is, I can look back now and say like something seemed off about Marblehead. They to me the tackling was pretty evident, or lack thereof. They didn't seem to be as aggressive as they normally are. They seemed to be in a little bit of a funk. They were able to rally, and Linfield's very good. They gave them a great battle, but Marblehead was able to rally and win. They had some injuries during the game. They withstood, and they won their 22nd straight game. But afterwards, I was on the field and waiting to talk to the head coach and some players, and I noticed number 74. All of his teammates are going over one by one and hugging him or give him a talk close, spoke closely and then hugged him, and he was crying. And I thought, geez, I noticed that he had played during the game. He had blocked an extra point. He went in on both sides of the ball when there was an injury to Scotty Campbell earlier in the game. So he had played a lot, and I wondered what was upsetting to him. And I asked one of the assistant coaches for Marblehead, is everything all right? And he said, oh, geez, that's Jake Scoglin. His father passed away this afternoon, and just hit me like a thunderbolt. And afterwards, Connor Cronin, one of the Marblehead captains, got his team together and said, hey, we should be together as a team tonight, but first go home. Tell your mom you love her, tell your dad you love her, tell your siblings, tell the people you care about you love them, and let's stay together as a team. And the coaches were tearing up, players were tearing up. I spoke with Jim Rudloff, the head coach, afterwards, and he explained to me everything that had happened. And they didn't know if they should play the game or not. And he talked with Dan Bauer, the MHS principal, and they wanted to give Linfield enough time, if they were going to cancel it, and they decided not to because Jake came to the coaches and said, "Hey, I'm playing tonight." I don't know if it was one of those things like, takes his mind off it, or his dad would want him to play or whatnot. But Jake made it very clear that he was going to play in that night's game. And Jimmy went over and let I'm going to forget his first name. Is it Pat Molesta from Linfield?
Yeah.
Let him know what had happened. I wasn't looking for sympathy. It was certainly just as a heads up. And then I thought it was really cool post game when the two coaches spoke during the handshake line. They agreed that players from both teams should get together at midfield and just kind of give each other a hug. Just a hey, we battle between the lines, and it's about we're here to win the game. But at the end of the day, we're all brothers. We're all football brothers, and there are a lot more important things in life than football. So I thought that was really, really cool. I was able to get a quick video of that. But yeah, I mean, your heart breaks for the Scoglin family. It's just awful. You talk about unexpected. People told me that his dad, who I recognized when I saw photos of him after the fact on social media. I've seen him around the games before. I know him by sight. And what people said was right. He appeared to be very healthy. He was working out, 46 years old, and just one of those absolutely freak things that sometimes happen in life to good people. And Marblehead is already dealing with the off-season death of one of last year's Super Bowl champion players, James Gallante. So this hurts the community very hard. I'm sure it's going to be a tough, few days and tough week and all. But you just hope that they persevere and stay together as a family, both a football family and for the Scoggin family, and can move on from there.
Yeah, and I know uh, Matt and I were both in Lynn for the Swampscott game against Lynn English, and I really wasn't aware of it before the game started either with Zach Ryan's dad, and every weekend here has been incredibly emotional because a week ago, Matt, you and I were both over in Peabody where they had Mike Mastrocola show up, who's battling leukemia much earlier than expected. And again, we mentioned this last week on the podcast about the support from the Masco team and also the Revere team to the fund and so on. So very emotional couple of weeks to start this football season. So on that note, I'll let you guys, maybe we should just move on to the games and so on. But maybe Matt, maybe you want to pick up. How about this Peabody team? I mean, they got a slow start maybe in Lynn against Lynn Classical on Friday night, but then came back out with a 35-8 the final score.
Well, good doubleheader over there in Lynn. I mean, real quick on Swampscott. I mean, to have Zach Ryan back under center. I mean, I think none of us realized that the reason he didn't play the opening day was to be with his dad and all of that. And so our hearts certainly go out to Zach and Coach Serino getting everybody helmet decals with his dad, not Zach's initials, but his dad's initials for the whole team. I mean, that's first class all the way. And I think we saw a little bit more what the Swampscott offense will be capable of, with the senior there under quarterback. It's no knock on the freshman, but obviously Zach's been biding his time and being the understudy to Cam O'Brien the last couple of years and looked really good. 3 total touchdowns there. So certainly Swampscott is a team that's going to lay in the weeds a little bit. I mean, Coach Serino told us afterwards, once the emotion was over, like, hey, we're a small team. We're going to go against a lot of big schools, Beverly, Masco, Danvers, etc. And we'll see where the chips fall at the end. But I think with this kid at quarterback and some of the weapons they have all over the field, Burns and Ferragamo, who was back from his broken leg and caught a spotty. I mean, it really seemed like Swampscott's obviously not going to be maybe as dangerous as they were a year ago because that's what happens when you graduate so many guys at a small school. But they looked pretty dangerous. They looked pretty inspired and certainly, a lot better than week one. I mean, Coach mentioned they really all just wanted a sense of normalcy for Zach, and that's what they were able to give him on the field. And that's certainly what that offense looked like. The same pass patterns, the same tunnel screens, the same things getting set up. I mean, it looked like a normal Swampscott offense. And so that's good news for the Big Blue fans. And nice that they're able to keep the Blydell Cup, too, for Mr. Blydell, who passed away many years ago. That was the 6th edition of the Cup and the first time that Swampscott's beaten English 2 years in a row, too. So I know there were a lot of smiles for that reason, too, in Big Blue Town.
Hey, I want to bring Nick Giannino in here fast here. So, Nick, maybe share a note or two on high school football that you've been witnessing here in the last few days here. Fenwick?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I was over at the Bishop Fenwick game, which was a real interesting one, actually. One of the longer games I've been to, the 7:30 start, and I think it ended just after 10 o'clock. But that had a lot to do with the fact that both quarterbacks were slinging it all over the place. Was very impressed with Bryce Lehman for Bishop Fenwick. He seemed poised. He made a lot of nice passes. And again, Fenwick, again, has a lot of weapons, a lot of skilled players. They ran the ball hard, and they did have some mistakes in the first half. They were only up 1 at half. It was 15-14. Thought we might have a little bit of a shootout. Like I said, both quarterbacks were slinging it all over the place, and they had 3 fumbles in that first half, but then in the second half, they cleaned up the mistakes and kind of ran away with it. I think they scored 3 touchdowns in the third quarter, all unanswered, and that was it, really. So impressive performance for Fenwick. Again, Lehman, I thought Troy Rosare played a really good game running the ball. And again, they just have some, Conley. What's Scott's son's name there? Luke Conley. He played well. They had some great special teams plays, pinning them. Arlington Catholic deep in their end, not giving them good field position. So thought they really flipped the script going into that second half, and now they're sitting at 2-0 with a matchup against Swampscott next week that I'm sure they're really looking forward to. A good challenge for them. And just a note from Arlington Catholic, if we ever catch them again this season, that quarterback for them, Isaiah Osgood, I think was his name, very, very good. Reminds me kind of like a Russell Wilson or a Kyler Murray. He can scramble. He makes plays out of nothing. I think he had 96 rushing yards and over 200 passing yards. Not a big kid, but really impressive. So it was fun watching those two quarterbacks go at it. You don't get a ton of high school games these days where you see a lot of passing plays like that, dropping back in the shotgun and what have you. So it was entertaining, to say the least.
Gentlemen, we can't go over all the games and then preview all the games. There just wouldn't be enough time to do that. So what if we phrase it this way? We're looking for answers. Phil, on a couple of weeks ago, we said there were a lot of questions in the football season to answer.
Yeah.
Did we answer any questions this weekend? And if so, maybe where did we pull that out? I just got to preface this. It would be hard not to mention, if we're going to mention one more game, the prep game against Central Catholic, 17-7, Central Catholic winning. I guess maybe an upset, but yet that series has been kind of crazy over the last several years. But you don't need to comment on that. I just wanted to get that out there. But what do we know? What have we learned, I guess, in the first 2 weeks here?
Well, I think one of the great success stories, at least so far, is Salem. They played two teams that they probably should beat, but they've beaten them both handily. This is a program that is not used to piling up wins, especially early in the season. They're 2-0 for the first time in 4 seasons, so it's a great start for them. It gives them a ton of confidence. Another very winnable game this weekend at home against Greater Lawrence. So for them to start 3-0 before they go into the Northeastern Conference part of the season would be great. Getting great play from Corey Grimes at quarterback, all kinds of contributions from teammates such as Devin Azuna, Quinn Rocco Ryan, Jesse Round, Patrick Canister, guys up front of the line. They're all doing very, very well. I think you can also say the same thing about Essex Tech. We figured it would be a bounce back season for them. Harry Lynch has been one of the real surprises this season. Seems like he's kind of, and we have not been to, none of us have seen Essex Tech yet, right? That was Coop this past weekend that saw them.
All right.
So it seems like Harry has been playing under center where we usually see Devin LeBron.
Just the one game. Devin played the opener.
He did, okay. So, well, right, this week Harry went on the center. They didn't ask him to pass a lot, but he moved the offense. He's doing it with his legs. PJ Norton's playing very well for Essex Tech, and they're also 2-0. Huge test for them this week with traditionally difficult Shawsheen coming in. The Rams have always given Essex Tech fits, so this will be a good test for them. Yeah, you mentioned Bill the prep. I think, boy, if there was anything we were concerned about is, like who are they going to replace at linebacker? How's the defense going to be? I don't think we really worried about them scoring points, even with a new quarterback. Aiden Driscoll threw 5 touchdown passes in the opener. Now they give up, they only scored 7 points the other night at Central Catholic. Now, Central Catholic is not chopped liver. They're an excellent team, top 5 team in the state. And the prep still did not have their bell cow back in Carson Brown. But, with all the weapons on the outside at their disposal, it does, give you pause for thought, like what happened? Was it more Central? Was it more what the prep wasn't doing? So that's a question they're going to have to ponder at practice this week. I think we also are seeing what's happening with Danvers and the fact that they've had 2 winnable games. They gave away the first one. They found a way to win this past week against Haverhill. Now they go on the road and play a very good Reading team with a quarterback who's as good as any in the state in Murphy. And, how will they be able to contend against that? What are they going to be able to do to make adjustments, get more guys in, get more depth, and try to make some things happen? I could keep going on, but there are quite a few questions.
Let me ask you about Beverly, though. You mentioned winnable games, or did Beverly? Could they have won both of their games? Were they close to winning both of their games? I know last Saturday, North Andover, you were reporting they gained them in yardage and time of ball possession and so on, but came up short.
Yeah, I mean they dominated all those numbers: first downs, time of possession, plays run, yardage. I mean, it was all considerable in their favor. But to be honest, it never really felt like they were in a position to help themselves to win the game. I mean, they give up a opening kickoff for a touchdown, which hey, it happens, but the turnovers hurt them, and untimely turnovers at bad times deep in their own end of the field, given North Andover really short fields. Beverly just doesn't have the depth or the game breakers to get themselves in a hole and expect to get out of it. They have several very good players. There's no one standout. There's nobody that can, there isn't a Shea Lynch. There isn't a Connor Cronin, to use two guys from the Northeastern Conference as references here. There isn't somebody where they can climb on that guy's back and say, okay, well, he's going to lead us. Think Brendan Flaherty a decade ago, where when push came to shove, Beverly could really rely on him to get the job done. Of course, he had great pieces around him, but he was the proverbial straw that stirred that drink. I don't see that on this Beverly team. I think they're young, if not in age. I think they are in experience. As four new starters in a line, 3 juniors and a sophomore. It's going to take those guys time to get used to things. There's a new quarterback. There's 2 new running backs. There's a whole fleet of new receivers. And I'm not saying these guys aren't good players, but they just can't afford to be making the mistakes that they made on Saturday and expect to win. Now, Peabody comes in this Saturday to Herd Stadium. Peabody's going great guns so far. What is it, Willie? 75 points for, 8 against.
Mm-hmm.
And their starters have played, 2.5 quarters and maybe 3+ in the first 2 games?
I mean, they played the whole game against Classical. The first team offense has not punted. So there's that.
And
but I mean,
maybe they can't punt. Well,
well, they didn't punt last year. I think it punted maybe once before they played Beverly, and we saw what happened. So it's a different team and everything. But to me, I mean, I've been wrong about Peabody so many times over the years that until they string together a few more wins, I'm still in a little bit of prove it mode here. I mean, I know what this week looks like on paper, but they've had a lot of things over the last 6-7 years that have looked pretty good on paper that haven't gone well for them, right? So I still feel like, yes, this is a winnable game, but prove it, right? They still need to kind of, there's some buts going on. Revere's 0-2. Classical didn't have its starting quarterback, and I think when Brian O'Leary gets back under center, Classical's going to be a pretty good football team. I mean, I was impressed with some of the things they did inside. Their running back Matt Carrillo was really good, right? But there is a little bit of a but there, right? So I think and you got a wounded animal there in Beverly that's probably going to throw the kitchen sink at you because they don't want to be 0-3, right? So I would imagine that this isn't a team that can rest on its laurels and say, hey, we scored 75 points the first 2 games. Let's roll the balls out and it's going to be easy, right? Because, I mean, they haven't won at Herd Stadium since 1997. So it certainly is never easy to win there. I don't care who you are.
Well, I would say this. I think what Peabody excels at is where Beverly is vulnerable. So, yes, you don't want to go into any game thinking, oh, hey, these guys are 0-2, we should roll them. No, of course not. But I think it's safe to say that Peabody would go into this game as a double-digit favorite just based on what they've done, what they have, and just the fact that Beverly is young and going through some growing pains. I mean, this is probably one of the how can I say this? This is probably one of the last types of teams that Beverly wants to be facing right now. They need a game where they can just grind out a win. Find a way to get it done. They don't need to be facing a team that can turn it into a track meet and put points up from virtually anywhere on the field. That's going to be difficult for them to defend. So yeah, of course, anything is possible. And you know what? Hey, one good week of practice. I mean, Jeff Hutton, the Beverly coach, said we haven't had our complete team. And I know everybody goes through injuries and things like that, but There's been some sickness on the team and different issues they've had to deal with. So they haven't had their full team even practice since before their last scrimmage against Belmont, in which they played very well, according to the coaching staff. So let's not forget too, Willie. I mean, you can flip that around. Like, yeah, you got to be careful. Beverly's a wounded animal, but I look at it like, well, Peabody comes into this game knowing that Beverly, took them behind the woodshed last year and put up 55 points. I'm guessing that Peabody's going to come in with just a little bit of a chip on their shoulders, looking for some measure of revenge. And I know you can say all you want about, hey, it's a new year, and what happened last year doesn't matter, and this and that and the other thing. Well, returning players have long memories, and again, as Hutton told me the other day, they're going to want to burn out every light on that scoreboard at Hurt if they can, by putting up a ton of points of their own.
No, I think that's true. But
referring to the Tanners.
The other thing is they got Marblehead sitting there in week 4, so they can't get caught looking ahead, right? Thinking, oh, this is, now that, because then they're going to have a short week to get ready for Marblehead, which is obviously a game that everybody's looking forward to, but they can't look forward to that. And I would say, on the 55 points, I mean, obviously that's embarrassing and you don't want to do that, but it's not as if Beverly was rubbing their nose in it either. I mean, Peabody scored 35 and had the ball with a chance to go over 40. So Beverly really did need all those points. I mean, they weren't, unsportsmanlike in scoring all those points.
No.
Certainly, I think that, so, Peabody really, I understand motivation and all that, but they should only be mad at themselves for the way they played defense in that game. But, at the same time, I'm sure they want to have that shoe on the other foot there this week, especially on a field that they've really never won on. I mean, when they beat Beverly during the pandemic year 2 seasons ago, it was on the turf at Frank Forty Field, not technically at Hurt Stadium, right? So maybe defending Hurt is something that Beverly can hang its hat on. But real quick before we move on from this game, I mean, I just think that the more I think about it, this has become like one of the better sneaky rivalries around, because they always joke and say like, oh, it's not a rivalry until somebody wins a game, right? And I think, like, for the most part, the last 6-7 years, this has been back and forth. Peabody wins one, Beverly wins one. It's been a seesaw battle. Every other year, it seems like the shoe's on the other foot, and so that kind of sneaky makes for a good series and for a game that people care about, I think.
Hey, I gotta watching the clock here. I want to jump in and get some other sports. If we have time at the end, we can circle back to football. But Nick Giannino, give us an update on soccer here and what's happening. What do we need to know heading into this maybe third week of the season, if you will, this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll stick with the boys soccer. I know Willie's been doing a lot of the girls as well. I'm not too well versed on the teams yet, but in terms of our boys teams, we got some talent here on the North Shore this year. I mean, St. John's Prep off to another 4-0 start. They're just coming off a 5-0 win over Leominster over the weekend. That's a incredibly deep team. Dave Kroll, I know, is super excited about the talent he's got there this year. And they got a great group of captains, a lot of seniors, a lot of juniors. They're just, playing some really good soccer to start the year. 4-0, like I said. I've been really impressed with Peabody. I know they lost to Masco, who's off to an undefeated start, to the surprise of no one. That team just keeps reloading and winning. But so I expect Masco to be tops in the NEC, or at least battling for that top spot by season end. But Peabody is right there. They got some new players that have come in. They got some returning guys. They got a lot of scoring firepower up front with Victor Maceo. He's been terrific. They got a new kid, John Arruda, who I'm not sure if he played last year, but he's, an elder statesman on the team. He is a senior, and or it might be a junior. Either way, upperclassman John Arruda has been great. I think he's got 2 hat tricks on the season. They're scoring a lot of goals. The only game they didn't score was the 2-0 decision against Masco. Other than that, they've got all wins. They're coming off a big 7-2 or 7-3 win over Everett. So I really like Peabody. I think they got a lot of firepower. They're pretty deep. They got experience. Kind of a shaky start for Beverly, who we thought would, once again contend in the NEC. They only got 1 win, although they've faced some tough teams. They just went against Concord Carlisle over the weekend. A team that, by the way, Peabody came back from a 5-0 deficit at halftime and tied them 5-5.
Right.
I saw that. That was remarkable.
Crazy. Yeah. Stan McKean, the coach, said it was, one of the craziest games he's ever been a part of.
I mean,
I'm
that's
not
like
sure
being
what.
down 49-0 in football and
Yeah.
coming back to tie.
Yeah, it's
Really?
insane.
No,
I'm
I
sure
mean,
there
it's
was a.
crazy.
Yeah,
Hey,
I've never
maybe
heard of anything like that.
maybe Tua
Um,
was playing for Peabody Soccer.
Yeah, right. And I'm not sure what the other side did. If Concord maybe took some of their guys out or thought they had it in the bag, but shouldn't matter. I mean, 5 goals. You think that's enough of a cushion to hold on for the win?
Hey, the men of
Um,
McKean pulling
yeah.
off a memorable 40 minutes, huh?
Yeah. So there's going to be some exciting battles. Like I said, Beverly off to the 1-3, 1-4 start, but they've had some tough games. They lost to Masco. They had the Concord Carlisle game. They lost to a determined young Marblehead team who's also off to a pretty good start. Salem got a big win over the weekend. That was good to see. I know they had high hopes for this year. Maybe that can get them going a little bit. Let's see who else kind of sticks out.
Prep.
Both Ipswich and Hamilton Wenham in the Cal are off to pretty solid starts. Hamilton Wenham beat Ipswich last week, but Hamilton Wenham's tops in that league, and Ipswich is right behind them. Essex Tech, another strong year. They should be tops in the Catholic Central League once again, I would imagine. And we'll see with some of these other teams. A lot of question marks with Bishop Fenwick. They're really young. Danvers, same thing, but they're battling. But yeah, I think some of those top tier talented teams, Masco, St. John's Prep, Peabody, those are 3 teams I like moving forward.
Willie, can you touch on girls soccer at all for us? A note or two. We're running low on time here, but maybe a brief update on that.
You know what? I'll go in a different direction. I'm gonna throw a quick shout out to the Marblehead High volleyball team. They knocked off Peabody last week, the unbeaten defending NEC champs, and then Friday night they went and beat Notre Dame Hingham, which is one of the best teams in Division II on the road. Team that beat them 3-1 in the state tournament last year. So that's going to be big for Marblehead state tournament push. And they're 5'8", Kira Sweetnam. She hits the ball as hard as anybody on the North Shore and maybe in the state. Was NEC MVP last year, was Salem News Player of the Year last year, and she is rounded into form there at the front of the net. So just a quick volleyball note, because we don't talk about that too much. The Magicians seem to really be on fire right now.
They were good too, Willie, like just a couple of years ago, right? Maybe weren't
Oh,
they
they're
really?
excellent. No, I mean,
They've been
Colleen
actually
Miller
really
is a
good,
great
right?
coach, and they got a great program certainly. And I know Peabody's got that loaded team. They got 3 different betting courts now, and some other big tall girls that play basketball. And geez, they just couldn't handle Sweetnam in that one game. And I'm sure the second time they play will be a great game. But Marblehead's certainly looking like a potential top 10 team in Division II the way they're playing right now.
Phil, field hockey at all?
Yeah, just to highlight this week on Friday, I would say we have our first huge game of the season with Danvers going up to Boxford to play on the grass at Masconomet. I would think both teams would be 5-0 at that point. They're both 4-0 right now. Danvers plays winless Saugus during the week, and Masconomet plays at Marblehead, which can be tough, but Masconomet hasn't given up a goal through 4 games this year. 2-time reigning player of the year, Maggie Sturgis, already has like 12 or 13 goals.
I saw she was ranked one of the top 40 players in the state by Max Preps, was it? Or
yeah, I mean, top 40, she's probably in the top 4.
Exactly, yeah.
But
I know you make that list, you hope to see her on there.
No, it's true. I mean, you get Greta Mowers has been off to a good start. She's got 4 goals. Sarah and Julia Graves, the 2 sisters. Maddie Whalen's taken over in goal for Masco, and like I said, she's got 4 straight shutouts, so she's doing good. But Danvers is playing great too. As I mentioned, they were also 4-0. Megan McGinnity, 3 shutouts in 4 games. They've only given up 1 goal thus far. Emma Lachowski, the captain, doing really well. I think she's got 4 goals and 7 points. Bobby Serino's got 3 goals. She had a hat trick in a game against Marblehead last week. Catherine Purcell, the captain, goal and 3 assists. The Papa Michael cousins, Sophie and Sadie are playing very, very well defensively. A lot of contributions for Danvers. So it should be a great game, 4:00 this Friday. That kind of highlights, I think, what we've seen locally. Just one other quick note. Bishop Fenwick graduated an awful lot of kids, but they're off to a great start. 3-0-1 so far. Rain Millette with 6 goals and 8 points. Madison Faraghy with 5 goals. So nice going for Fenwick with, like I said, 3-0-1 mark and a couple of shutouts in net from Meg Donnelly.
So tell our listeners here. So when this posts, it's Monday morning. So tell us what happens in the newspaper during the week now that we're in the fall season. Because I know you do little football updates during the week, different times. You got columns, different times. So maybe we should let the folks know where they can go and get this stuff and when to look for it.
You want us to give away the secrets as to how the sausage is made? Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying, like, for example, Nick Giannino, when's the soccer column come out?
No, that's what I
That's
mean.
the
Yeah,
kind
no,
of question I'm
yeah,
asking
yeah,
about.
okay.
Is that a sausage question?
No.
No
Whoa,
soccer
easy
column
now.
this week. We're rotating them. So I believe Willie's girls soccer column will be running this week. What, Thursday, Willie?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Field
I thought
hockey
it was
runs
Thursday, but I guess it's
Thursday.
not.
Well, Phil, we don't need to get into all those details. No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
no, no. We do. We have like our three. What do we call it these days, guys? Gridiron gems, hidden gems of the week. We try to pick
Yeah.
out three guys who, didn't score the touchdowns necessarily, or pick off three passes, but the guys who are unsung heroes, basically. That
The hidden gems.
yeah, aren't going to get the work, aren't going to get the notoriety from your average fan, but the coaches notice them. They grade out real well. So we try to highlight three of those guys. We do that on Tuesdays and run that in the paper on Wednesday. We mentioned we kind of rotate boys soccer, girls soccer, and field hockey columns. You get two of those a week. You'll get a football focus on Thursdays. You'll get a moving the chains football news and notes column on Friday. You get our high school football picks. You get what we call the Friday football strip, which is leaders, games to watch. Did you know? By the numbers, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And then, of course, on Monday we wrap everything up with a Monday blitz. All your scores, all your leaders, all your updated standings, recap of the Friday night games, anything that was played over the weekend, and we just kind of keep going at it from there.
Never ends, does it? It just doesn't end, I don't think,
No, but it's good.
It's a blitz,
because, you know
though. The
what?
Monday thing is a blitz, though. So people
It's
should be
good.
aware of that.
Yeah, it's good to have a break in the summer because it can be a lot over those 10
Yeah.
months. But by early to mid-August, I think I can speak for both of these guys in that we're ready to get back to it. Let's get a little bit of, energy going here. Let's get that day-to-day grind going. And, we're right in the thick of it again.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's say, I guess we got a couple minutes left here. So do you want to look ahead to any football games this week that we haven't touched on? We've got some great stuff here, but I know we did touch on the Beverly Peabody game. I don't know if there's anything else. Well, Marblehead at North Andover, I think, should be a great game on Friday night at 6:00. Has now a broadcast game on the website here. But anything else jumping out at you guys?
Pingree opens its
Yep,
season. They haven't played yet, so that's always interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that Swampscott Fenwick game, a rematch of last year's playoff matchup. Fenwick certainly has a lot more back, but there's some potential for a good game there as well too.
I think you're looking to see if Masconomet kind of off to an uncharacteristic 0-2 start. I haven't had a chance to look into Winchester yet. I don't know if you guys have, but the Chieftains will be looking for their first win of the season after dropping games in Newburyport and at Grafton over the weekend. So eager to see what they can do there. Same thing with Ipswich. I think we thought that Ipswich, would be taking a step forward this year, and so far they've had two difficult losses to Manchester Essex and Lowell Catholic this past weekend. So want to see if they might be able to right the ship, or should I say Henry right the ship this week. Remains to be seen, I guess.
All right, guys. I guess that should do it here. I just don't want to wrap it up too early on everybody here.
Patriots got to win.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
good point.
Wasn't pretty, but they're on the board.
Yeah,
it wasn't pretty.
It was not pretty.
It wasn't pretty, but wins.
But you know what?
Progress.
I've never cared for the Steelers, and I think I looked it up in this century, the Patriots are 14-4 now against Pittsburgh, which warms my crusty old heart. I like that. Anytime you can beat Pittsburgh is a good day, I say.
All right.
That's
Pat's
probably
got
true.
the win, and Freiermuth had the touchdown. So, head coach of the Hamilton Wenham Generals, Tim Fryermuth's got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, and obviously we want to see him do well. And when Brian St. Pierre played for Pittsburgh, obviously I wanted to see him succeed and do well, things like that. But by and large, I have never been a Steelers fan, probably because they were so good when I was younger, and that just kind of stayed with me, So.
All right, gentlemen, good stuff. Thanks so much, and we will talk again soon.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Yep, take care.